Newly freed blacks were leaving plantations en masse, all with a very similar mindset. They dreamt of building lives, free from the master's whip and the hounds of the slave patrol, of building homes and farming land that they had earned and owned. They dreamt of building businesses and amassing wealth for generations to come. They dreamt of walking the streets with dignity and self-respect, of joining the military, having voting rights and holding political offices. They dreamt of holding these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. An American concentration camp, so horrific it was erased from history. The camp was called the Devil's Punch Bowl because of how the area was shaped. The camp was at the bottom of a hollow pit. Following the Civil War, freed blacks began a long journey northward to begin their lives of freedom. Unfortunately, they weren't given any time to prepare, nor were they provided anything except for the clothes on their backs. No provisions were made for them to travel, lodge overnight, or to eat. Nevertheless, these freed people made their way out on foot. The threats of the elements didn't deter them from what they knew was going to be the land of milk and honey. Stopping along their journey to rest and to find nourishment, many traveled through Natchez, Mississippi. The residents of the city, feeling resentful that the people who were once their property were now free, called upon the Union troops who were still lingering after the war to devise a merciless, impenitent solution. Troops decided to build an encampment for the freed blacks at Devil's Punch Bowl, which they walled off. Blacks were forced inside by the armed troops and not allowed out. During his studies, Estes says he learned that Union troops ordered recaptured black men to perform hard labor. Women and children were all but left to die in the 3 punch bowls. The Union Army did not allow them to remove the bodies from the camp. They just gave them shovels and said bury them where they drop. Those trapped in the labor camp were denied food and water, thus many died of starvation. In these concentration camps, disease broke out among them, smallpox being the main one, and thousands died. They were begging to get out, begging to go back to the plantation, Estes said. The men were kept in a separate camp and were marched up the bluffs every day to perform hard labor, and then taken back to the camps at night. The women and children were kept in 3 separate camps and never got out. According to one account, blacks were packed in like cattle. In 1860, the population of Natchez was 6,612, which consisted of 4,272 whites, 2,132 slaves, and 208 free blacks. By 1870, the population of Natchez was 9,057, which consisted of 3,728 whites and 5,329 blacks. If 110,000 blacks poured into Natchez around 1865, where did they all go by 1870? More than 20,000 died there. Even today, occasional flooding by the Mississippi River exposes skeletal remains from the mass graves that adorn the former encampment. Large, lush peaches grow from the peach groves in Devil's Punch Bowl, but no one eats them, as they know what fertilized them. A painful yet a very important truth is that blacks were never intended to be citizens of this country, never intended to own land, to become political leaders, to contribute in meaningful ways to this experiment called America. It was never in the grand design that blacks would ever be considered humans, citizens, or free. They were brought here for the purpose of serving and enriching white enslavers, to be the property of those who could afford to own them, to be used as collateral and mortgaged when necessary to secure other enslaved blacks. This is why the Confederate States fought so hard to maintain the institution of slavery. Even after the institution was abolished in the weeks and months following the Civil War, the opposing Union troops recaptured and brought tens of thousands of American families to their demise. Because once freed, there was nothing left to do but to exterminate them. If you love history and learning about little-known Black history facts, then like, share and subscribe to this channel. You will be notified when interesting new videos are uploaded. See you next time.